I mean, yeah, like they're not just there for like the leftovers. Like they can still, we can do it 3 times if we have to. Welcome back to another episode of the Gimbal Guys podcast. We are your hosts, Nick Jones and Sam Nato.
Hello.
And today we are, I don't know how to say it. Like, what are we talking? I know what we're talking about, but what is the actual title?
We're talking about, I don't know what the title will
How
be,
to
but
be a
the
team
topic
player?
is we're talking, how to be a team player and how to collaborate on a wedding day, specifically with other vendors, and probably like some specific things that we do to just be as collaborative as we can. Because I think we've mentioned it. We must have mentioned it a bunch of times already, but it's something we really stress that we try to do on the wedding day because it produces the best end result for us, for the other vendors, for the couple.
It's the key to a successful day.
Exactly.
Sure.
The number one thing. So yeah, I mean, I guess
we're going to start from like the morning of the wedding and pretty much go through the entire wedding day and how we act in all these like scenarios, basically.
Yeah, because it'll kind of help us like go through the different stages and stuff. But yeah, I would say, so backtrack even further before the wedding day actually gets there. I think the big part of it, the months leading up to the wedding, is communication and getting in touch with the right people. So I think something specifically that we always do, there's a few major points of contact that we always try to get from the couple, at least by the latest our final meeting with them, which is usually
roughly a week or so before the actual wedding.
Yeah, between, I'd say, we're going to try to do it a little earlier now because I think some people are kind of like ironing
like 1 to
details
3
out.
weeks out, basically.
Yeah. But so we try to get if they don't have a planner, which at that point we would have already had the planner's contact information. But if they don't have a planner, if they just have a day of coordinator from the venue, we get that person's phone number if we need an email. But phone number is usually the thing that we care about most because that's that's the point person we can text on the day of if we need something. The other major one is the photographer. We want to make sure we're in touch with them if we haven't worked with them before. Get their phone number, email, social handle too, so that we can kind of like build a relationship.
Social stalking.
Do some social stalking, but just build the relationship with them prior to the wedding. Like a few of their photos, comment on their work if we can.
And we text them in the morning.
Yeah.
So we're like prepared to meet up. If there's like a splitting up situation, we make sure we're all, going to the same place, things like that.
Yeah. Get all the logistics ironed out. The other info we get is the DJ, which I think going forward we need to do a little bit better at communicating with them prior to the actual wedding day, just to give them a heads up of what we'll be doing.
Yeah, what to expect when we talk to them.
Yeah, like that could be why we've had some of the experience we've had. It's just because like we didn't communicate effectively before that. But yeah, we'll get the DJ's info as well.
We also like to do like best man and maid of honor.
Yes.
Because we try not to bother the couple themselves, like by texting them or anything like that. So if the venue coordinator or planner is unavailable, we will sometimes just text the best man, maid of honor just to let them know like, hey, we just got here. We're going to be coming up in the next 10 minutes.
What room number are you in?
Oh yeah, no, that's huge. So true. That's like the main thing we asked them actually. What room number are you in?
Which most of the time they're checking in like the afternoon or the night before. So it's like, you can't get that room number.
So they don't know until like, 24 hours out. But even like if it's a Saturday wedding, they don't know until like 3 p.m. on Friday. And sometimes it's Friday night, they forget. Yep. So we don't find out until Saturday morning. It's like, yo, we're here. What room are you in?
Yeah. So yeah, weeks/months before the wedding, we're gathering that contact information, gathering some socials just to do a little bit of research, look at people's websites, see what kind of work they do if it's somebody we haven't worked with before. Come wedding day, we already mentioned we're texting the photographer the morning of. Sometime if we're thinking of it, sometimes we'll text them the night before, but morning of usually, hey, we're on our way, or hey, looking forward to the key phrase is we're looking forward to working with you today, which is, that's accurate. We want to build that relationship. If we say we're looking forward to working with you, it helps kind of like ease any tension somebody might have of a videographer going into the day. Oh, and I think we left out another major vendor, which we haven't had the experience with as much, but if there's a content creator on the day, we want to make sure we're reaching out to them as well, saying like, hey, we're excited to work with you today.
Anyone
let us
on the
know
creative
if you
team
need anything specifically, that sort of thing. We'll just text back and forth if we need to split up. There's usually some line of communication. It also helps too if we're in close proximity once we've gone into the getting ready area, if we're splitting up, sometimes Nick will go to bride side, groom side, whatever. I'll do the other one. And if there's two photographers, they're doing the same thing. They're splitting up as well. If we're in close proximity, we kind of have the benefit of we have headsets now. And so we can kind of be that point communication between the other photographer as well.
That's happened. They've like, can you like tell them XYZ? And I was like, yeah.
Can you tell them to get this shot or something like that? And it's worked. And headsets not only allow us to get better footage, it allows the photographers too sometimes to get better
we won't be
photos.
stingy. We'll help you guys out.
Yeah. So that kind of helps the whole communication process. And I think the getting ready part of the day is where if you haven't worked with this photographer before,
this is where you size each other up.
Sounds bad, but this is where we're again just
first
building that relationship.
It'll set the tone for the rest of the day.
Yeah. I mean, we go into the day as positive as we can be. I mean, we're not overly awkwardly
we're not going to be like bubbly out here. Exactly. Like
super excited to be here.
That's just annoying.
Yeah.
We'll get out of here.
We'll be positive and
we'll be normal amounts of happy.
Yeah. Normal amounts of happy. But yeah, that's kind of like the first thing we do when we get there. And then usually the first thing we're shooting are those detail shots, and we'll take that opportunity to kind of like just learn a little bit more about the photographer, small talk, learn about their background, what areas they usually service, because then you can use that information. It's like, oh, they're Rhode Island based photographer, or oh, they work in New Hampshire, and next time you need that referral or you need somebody's asking you for other photographers or something like that, you can keep that knowledge in the back of your mind.
Yeah, and that like detail stationary type stuff is very low stress.
Yeah.
So it gives us
You're
an
not usually
opportunity
talking to anybody else
to just be with each other and just chill for 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah. Quiet room, vibe out, like just learn more about each other. And you start to get a little sense of their shooting style too. So usually the photographer is doing a lot of like flat lay stuff, and sometimes we're leading off of those, or, if we have to do another little thing, we will, but we can usually tell how well we'll work with somebody if they're like, oh, did you get your shot yet? Instead of them just moving too quickly through that process. Then once we start kind of moving into, if it's the bridal suite, we're probably doing like some makeup, hair, touch-up shots at this point. Small spaces. So you'll get a real feel of how the photographer works with you, if they give you the space to get your shots, if they're not.
And also something we say right when we get there and like talk to them is that, if we're in your way, let us know, and like we'll do the same. Like we're happy to take turns like doing things where it's, optimal for only one person to go at a time.
Exactly. It's like if we have certain shots we want to get, we'll let you know too. So it's not like we're not just being like, oh, do whatever you want. Like, no, we need to get our shots too. So we just need to let people know, like we're there to do the same job they're doing. So yeah, hair makeup is usually a good time to kind of get your spatial awareness down. And I guess that's another thing too, spatial awareness.
That's the biggest thing, honestly. It's just like knowing where they are and understanding, because we understand we have a camera too.
Yeah.
And knowing, are we in their shot? If so, you should probably move.
And not even that though, not even other photographers, not even the photographers. I mean, that's part of it, but like just not knocking things over. Me personally, I had a learning curve when it came to spatial awareness. I think I've gotten better now. But it's something you have to keep in mind. You know, somebody might have a water bottle on a table that you can't knock over. Food's out. There's probably like some delicate glass here and there, maybe some decorations, flower vases, things like that. And when you're in that tight space, that really tests it for sure. Just making sure you don't bump into things, people, that sort of thing. So I think we pride ourselves now on being very aware of those situations too. And then also what would you call it? Social awareness, emotional awareness. This goes for not necessarily us working with the photographers as vendors, but I feel like more feeling out like the family dynamics a little bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know, if this first part of the day is probably when people are like most stressed, especially on the bride side, we see a lot where they're getting their hair and makeup done. Maybe something wasn't delivered on time, or the venue's calling with there's an issue with a certain thing. So just we do our best to, like, if we're in conversations with the bridegroom, whoever it is, we're trying our best to kind of like feel out how they're feeling. We're asking them how they're feeling, trying to make them feel as comfortable as they can be. And I think that's another thing we do well in our client experiences, being kind of just like socially aware in those moments. I mean, people have told you specifically, it's like you made me feel more relaxed.
Well, I think, we were joking earlier when we were like, we're normal levels amounts of happy and stuff like that. But I'm not saying it's wrong to do this. Like it's fine. It's not a bad thing at all. But when people are super, super bubbly and like very in your face about like, it's very positive. Right. It's all good. Like, again, don't get me wrong. But on the flip side, when we are not like that and we are like a calming essence in the room, like simply just being there and not being too bubbly and too jumpy all over, like it can just calm them down. And that's kind of just how I am. But it helps, calm people down also, just keeping them cool while not being too intrusive.
Part of your job as a wedding vendor is also therapist. So you got to have some of those social skills to kind of like really give your clients the best experience. So, and sometimes what I like to do too is, I mean, a lot of people will try to put on a facade on the wedding day. And I mean, there's some cases where, we might be using a customer service voice or something like that. But I always try to like lighten the mood. I like to crack like a little joke every now and then, just based on whatever situation we're in. So things like that. I'm not trying to be fake. I'm trying to kind of like just, again, flex my personality a little bit, because that's part of the reason why they may have made a decision on us, is because they vibed with us. So I try to just carry that from the calls into the wedding day as well. So yeah,
moving past getting ready.
Yeah.
What's next?
First look is huge. This is a point we've made this year more to kind of like communicate with photographers, because in the past and the photographers and the couple, we hadn't done as much communication, and then this year we started.
We have our first looks dialed down now. Like, we know exactly what to do.
To the photographer, we're saying, hey, how we do it. I think this is where we're probably the most assertive.
We do take over a little bit.
This is how we do it. We want to capture the moment as it's unfolding. We're not going to pose them or anything like that. Maybe we'll tell them what to do as they're like walking up to their significant other. You can kind of have some direction with that. But we're like, we want this moment to unfold and be authentic. And the most important thing is they will look to us when they're ready to move on. We tell them, or Nick has this pep talk with usually the groom, but whoever's kind of like just waiting there at the time. It's like, this moment could take 5 minutes, could take 10, could take 20, take 30 seconds. However long it needs to be, you just look to us when you feel ready. And we've had the first looks go very long time.
Wait, I forget if it was with you or with Alex. Like one of the recent ones, they were just like, nice. And I was like, dude, really?
I think, yeah, there's been a few of those. Yeah. Usually, but then it was funny, over. They usually don't know what to do when they're ready. They're like, okay, we're done now. Just a thumbs up. But yeah, no, the reason we have to brief the photographers on that is because we've had photographers where they'll cut that beautiful moment short.
Right. They step in too soon.
Yeah. And forget it being like it's a beautiful moment when we can get that stuff to unravel on footage and have that. But again, it's just about the couple's actual experience on the day. Like they don't want to be interrupted in those moments. So that's why we've been very kind of like assertive with the photographers. Like, hey, this is how we run first looks. Please just don't step in until the couple is ready.
I think
most of them,
that is more or less like the only time where like we really want it to be our way. Mm-hmm. Like everything else we can pretty much work around, but like the first look, we definitely want it to be like how we want it to be.
Yeah. And I think 99% of photographers are like, oh yeah, like I do it the same way.
Right.
We've had a few where they're like, oh, like I'll pull them aside for this and whatever. But we're like, this is the way we need to do it. We'll be out of your way. Nick will be over here. Sam will be over here. We'll be shooting on this lens. That's the other thing
we
too.
Communicate our focal lengths.
Yeah. Because sometimes
we will be the ones to sacrifice at times. Like we will willingly change to match the photographers at times.
Yeah. Because I think we have touched on this before, but like with focal lengths, if you're somebody who's not familiar with it, you know, longer focal lengths, we can be further distances away than other focal lengths. So if we're on a different focal length than the photographer,
we can't be in the same spot.
It's like they might be really close up or something.
And what makes the most sense is for one of us to be like pretty much next to one photographer, the other next to the other one.
And that way you're not in people's way.
And if we're on completely different focal lengths, that's not really going to work out.
Yeah. So first looks, it's very important too, because you definitely don't want to step in front for any of that. So yeah, then from first look, there's usually some form of kind of like bridal session or some portraits, maybe some family photos, things like that. And we're just feeding off each other's creativity at that point. Again, we're telling the photographer, it's like, if we need to step in for a shot, like, hey, can we grab this shot real quick? I think it goes really well after your pose or something. And that's something we do, is keeping the couple in a very specific position.
We try and be efficient. Like especially with lots of people, if the entire wedding party is lined up and the photographer is like, okay, we're going to do this, and then we're going to have them walk, we will pause them before they start moving if we want to get a shot while they're all standing there, because having them walk and then trying to line them back up again, totally inefficient.
Takes a bunch of extra time that you know, that could be a waste. You could be
so like knowing when to pop in and like tell them, okay, we need a shot now. That's key too. You can't just do it at any time. Yeah,
that comes with experience. It's like seeing how these things flow and knowing when might be the best moment is crucial. Yeah, and then during that time, if there is a content creator on site, we just making sure they're getting their shots too. And I think we've touched on it in the past, but we don't want them to feel like they're just, I guess, not getting their stuff.
I mean, yeah, like they're not just there for like the leftovers. Like they can still, we can do it 3 times if we have to.
Sloppy seconds of the poses.
We can do it a 3rd time. They need to do it a full 3rd time. Us and the photographer will take a step back.
Yeah, nobody likes leftovers, so make sure to get it fresh.
Those microwave leftovers.
Nobody wants those microwave poses. Okay. So collaborating through all of that is super, super important. And like at this point in the day, we've pretty much solidified the relationship.
I mean, yeah, if they don't understand it by now, come on.
Safe to say. All of that prep work beforehand is where we really build this relationship with the team. Then comes time for the ceremony. And this is where we're strengthening the relationship with the DJ. We need to we need to be assertive. Tell the DJ, hey, we need this audio for the couple for our film because we structure our films based around audio. Can you help me find the best spot to plug into your system? And if they have a spot on the board, sure, we'll plug into the board. A lot of times they'll have a spot on one of the speakers, like an output. That's fine too. Communicating to them where we have audio sources, how that's important to our process, and also too kind of just like where our cameras will be spatially in the space is sometimes important for the DJ too. You know, if they're still in the process of setting up speakers or things like that. But again, we'll keep it light and fun with them. You know, team effort. We're trying to achieve the same goal. We're not trying to ruin your equipment. Everything we picked has been specifically designed to not interfere with your
and normally like I would much rather them just like here plug it in themselves to again reinforce the fact that I'm not trying to break your stuff. If you want to plug it in yourself, here's my cable, just go plug it in.
I've worked with DJs too where they some of the best DJs we worked with, it's like, I have this XLR right here. This is for you.
Oh, yeah.
And you plug right into this. Like, sweet, man. Like, that makes it easy. Just kind of like, again, it's another, if we have time too, we'll get to learn a little bit more about their business, see where they're operating.
Oh, I know what I was going to say now.
Yeah, go.
I was just like thinking, I was like, what the hell was I going to say? Getting them to do like, you know, being nice to them, encourage, like saying, you know, I'm not trying to break your stuff, XYZ, all that also to encourage them to allow you to do a sound check with them. Because that can be tricky to get them to do. But
yeah, because they're busy. I get it. They're busy setting up all of their stuff for the ceremony. It's just another thing you're adding. But if we do that sound check, then there's the trust between all of us. It's like, all right, this is going to sound great.
Right.
Plug in the headphones to our recorder, see how it sounds. Cool. We're good to go. At that point, we're going to have another little powwow with the photographers and give them our process for the ceremony, which we've told the couple kind of like a few times at this point, how we run the ceremony site. And, you know, maybe they did or didn't relay that to the photographers. Maybe they do it differently. But
I doubt they ever do. Let's be real.
Again, it's another point for us to be assertive in certain instances and then collaborative in other instances. We say, hey, these two cameras on the outside, they're probably our most important ones for the majority of the ceremony. It's like, if you can
all we ask is you to duck under it if you have to go around or just walk around it.
We've got a backup camera in the back. Don't worry. That's kind of just a wide shot. Don't worry about stepping in front of that one. And then when we're shooting stuff down the aisle, you know, either we'll be over you, under you, next to you. We'll be right there with you as well, so that we're not in front or behind you during that process. And I like to tell them too, like, especially for the first kiss and processing out of the ceremony, I say, like, I move with the photographer as a unit. Like, we move as a unit. We move together. I'll be checking my shoulder, make sure we're not tripping over anything, be relaying that information to you at the same time. And this is the most important point where we probably need to be aligning on focal lengths, so that we're moving like next to each other or at the same speed. Nobody's in front of the other person. And I would say, again, 9 times out of 10, we're either on a 35 or a 50 and they're on the same lens as well, or they're on a zoom or something where they're flexible. So again, it's just telling them what we're going to do, telling them where there's like a little bit of room for flexibility, and just being kind through that process of doing it. We're not saying like,
my way or the highway.
We're doing this. Don't go near any of our cameras. Like, no, it's all said with optimism in mind. So ceremony, talked about the DJ, talked about the photographer. Try to also, from the guest experience side of things and being a team player, I mean, we do our best to stay out of the way as much as we can. I mean, there's only so much you can do when you're filming in the aisle. We're getting that shot, but we want the guests to be focused on the couple, not us. So if we need to walk around from camera to camera, do so quietly. We have our headsets now that we can like whisper to each other in, but you know, usually we keep that chatter to a minimum during the ceremony. Then it comes time for cocktail hour. And at this point, we've
It's pretty much a free for all. Just 3-1.
There's not too many other people to like meet and talk to unless the DJ, unless there was no DJ for the ceremony and they're like only doing a reception or something like that.
I mean, yes, that's really the only like change, like unplugging from the ceremony audio setup to the reception audio setup, which is more or less going to be exactly the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just collaborating with them again. If the ceremony was in a different place and we're going to a different venue for the reception, sometimes that might be when we're like meeting the venue coordinator in person.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We'll make sure we get the lowdown with them. So, and then usually me and Nick are splitting up during this time because there's usually some other form of family photo, some form of bridal portraits that might happen at the beginning of cocktail hour, or one of us will be filming some other details.
One of us stays with them, and then the other one kind of just runs around and gets other random details.
Yeah. All of this process is, again, explained to the photographer, saying like, hey, we're going to be in these places, that sort of thing. And the other one of us will be responsible for moving that equipment into the reception space from the ceremony, getting the lay of the land from the DJ. You know, where do you guys have them stand for speeches? If it's not somewhere we want them to stand, we'll be like, hey, can we have them stand here? And I think that's a crucial thing too.
That's become a crucial thing for us. Yeah.
It's like, cause we set up our lights in a certain place. So we, again, kind of tell the DJ, it's like, we'd like them to stand here. Do you have any issues with that? And usually they don't.
Oh yeah. Usually they don't care.
Yeah. Sometimes the venue coordinator too will be like, oh,
we usually do it here.
Yeah. Which could go one of two ways. Like, There was one time where we had set up the speech in one spot, and then she was like, oh, well, we've done it here before. And I was like, oh, that's like way better. So like those moments when we can collaborate, it helps out.
Unfortunately, the photographers usually don't care too much, and they let us place them where we want them to be.
Oh, I thought you said unfortunately. You said unfortunately.
Oh, no, sorry. Fortunately.
Yeah, definitely fortunately. They don't care too much about that. But yeah, cocktail hour done, wrapped up. We're moving into the reception. Again, we're having another conversation with the photographer. It's like, this is our process for this. We're going to be in these places. Our lights are going to be in these places.
This is the reception, the formal dances is where, going back to earlier, is where I see like spatial awareness of our like physical bodies being a key thing. This is where I personally notice it a lot.
Yeah.
Like when first dance, parent dances, if I see the photographer go on the opposite side of me, if I am looking at them, it's like, okay,
it's not where you want to be.
I don't want to be here.
Someone's got to move.
Yeah. And if they're the ones who just like got in that position to take a photo, I will move.
And it's something we'll talk about with the photographer prior to those entrances happening. We'll be like, all right, where do you want to be for entrances? And then when the first dance happens, what do you want the backdrop to be? Because we'll probably do something similar. If you're going to move around too, we'll move with you.
Right.
We don't want to be in any of your shots.
If all 4 of us kind of just move
Yeah.
and stay on like
little
2.5 or 3 corners of the dance floor, none of us should get in each other's way.
Yeah. It usually works out. So that's helpful. I mean, at that point, there's not too many other people to meet, to talk to. We've pretty much shelled out our entire process for the most part. So once those kind of like formal dances are done, once the speeches are done, those like major formalities are good. And, you know, usually we can grab our vendor meals with the photographer, chat it up. Just learn more about them, their business, that sort of thing. And then that's pretty much a wrap on the night. After the fact too, the other thing we like to do to kind of like keep those relationships, if we've had enough time to maybe capture some extra things from other vendors, we might be able to send them a little extra piece of content from the wedding for them to share.
We do our best. I mean, we can never promise anything.
Yeah.
But like,
I want to do better and do it more often.
It's hard.
It's very difficult.
It's not our job, and we have to focus on the main reason we're there. But there's always the bonus things that we could be doing, and if we have time, should be doing.
Like sending the DJ a hype reel of the dance floor, and we'll get some shots of the DJ.
Yeah, or like the planner setting up all of their stuff in the morning of, like, they would love that type of stuff. So if you can just quickly turn your camera, film them for like 5 seconds, putting something up, you should do it. Yeah.
And I think something I want to implement into our process going forward too is communicating a little bit more with florists, and I feel like hair and makeup artists. I think we haven't put enough stress on that in past times. Like, usually we'll get the vendor list and they'll at least get tagged like when we post stuff, but oftentimes I feel like we haven't had a lot of interaction with them.
With to be fair, with
it's hard.
Somewhat good reason. I'm not going to say we should be ignoring them. We shouldn't be, but when we're not really in the same room together for a long period of time. Like, they get there before we do to do their hair, makeup, and stuff. And like, we're there for the tail end for the last 5 minutes. We get our shot and we have to go do something else. So there's not a ton of time for us to have a real conversation with them. Same with the florists. They're there very early, setting all their stuff up.
Yeah, we
normally simultaneously while we're inside doing stuff. So we sometimes don't see them at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to be able to send them a few extras of content as well.
Yeah.
In recent weddings, when I've gone into the hair makeup situation, I've been like introduce myself to them, like, hey, what's your name? Also, what's your social handle? I want to make sure like you guys get tagged in things that we do, and they're usually pretty appreciative of that. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much how we kind of work collaboratively with other vendors on the wedding day, and also work to give clients and guests a good experience at the wedding.
I would like to say that this is fairly normal, but I don't know if it is.
Common sense isn't so common.
I know, it really isn't. Like, it should be so simple to do all these things, but a lot of people just don't. Yeah. So that's why we put so much of an emphasis on every little detail we talked about today.
Yeah. A lot of it just boils down to being a good person and having those social skills. So if that's something you're not good at and want to get better as a vendor, you should put yourself in those social situations and, I guess, practice for lack of a better word. Just put yourself out there and work on those things. And we're always evolving too. I'm not saying we're perfect, but I would like to say we do a pretty good job at giving the client a good experience, and part of that
we're
comes
not
from,
perfect.
Yeah,
but we're pretty close.
Pretty close. Yeah.
All right.
That it?
I think that's it.
Cool. Yeah, if you guys enjoyed, feel free to give us a 5-star review on Spotify, and also follow us there too which I don't think you would be listening to us if you're not already following us anyway.
I know. Yeah. Just keep
listening
on Spotify.
Subscribe to us on YouTube too if you watch. Follow us on Instagram at SeaMount Weddings. And if you are looking to book a 2025 or 2026 wedding, it is SeaMountWeddings.com. I know we just have a few spots left in 2025, so, make sure you get in there before they fill up. We only take a limited amount per year. But yeah, other than that, we'll see you guys in the next episode.
See ya.